Hey OMG gang, Carrie Duke here. We're going to talk about strategic planning and how you can ensure your project has success from the very beginning. And I think based on the questions that I'm getting personally and the things that I see in the Facebook group, this is something we need to talk about, because a lot of people don't seem to know where to start or how to put a project together. So there seems to be a lot of confusion. So, for this PPC pay-per-call CPA My City Guide project, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we ensure success from the beginning. And how do we do that? Well, let's put a plan together, okay? So let's go through this. All right, so what do we do first? Well, the first thing that we have to do is we have to gather up all of the work that's necessary that we know of. Let's make a list of all of that work. Let's sort that list by importance and time sequence. And when I say time sequence, we know that we're going to need things down the road, but let's put them in the right order. We don't want to be working on building out our website, and then when we're ready to have our content, think, oh crap, I forgot to order my content. So now my content's not ready, so I got to wait another, whatever the time frame is to get my content in. So let's order it by the importance and by the time sequence, so that by the time we're ready for our content is ready for us. And then finally, we're going to implement these items. All right, so we're going to decide on a project, and again, we're talking about pay-per-call. That's PPC, not pay-per-click, but pay-per-call, and the CPA, the cost per action model. You have a choice. You can go through the My City Guide method, or you can build out a straight niche lead generation site, or you can do a combo, which is basically both of them. I'm actually going to be working on a My City Guide and a lead generation site. So determine which niche that you want to attack, okay? And this can be anything that you want. We're going to be focusing on those types of services that have an urgency type feeling built into them. If you're looking for a plastic surgeon, you probably have no real urgency. You're going to take plenty of time to find out, the right doctor, the right, cost, and all of those things. It's not going to happen overnight. The sales cycle on that's going to be a lot longer than somebody whose air conditioning went out in their house and it's 108 degrees outside and it's 10 o'clock at night. That's an emergency. Okay, so we want that built-in urgency in the niches that we attack for the PPC model, at least in my mind. All right, we're going to we want to find alternative monetization methods so that we know in advance how we're going to get paid for this project. All right, Joe Morfolio has some great training on the affiliate offer, so if you don't know how to do that, I highly encourage you to watch that. But let's figure out, are we going to go straight to a client with this? When I say straight to a client, we're going to have a project and the phone calls are going to go straight to a client. So that means we need to know up front, we're going to build this out, but then we're going to have to find a local business to accept the phone calls and pay us. They have to agree to pay us. Or are you going to use an affiliate offer? And is that affiliate offer one that can later be converted to a client? So we want to start the approval process from an affiliate program, because it doesn't do us any good to have CPA offers on our website if we're not even approved for any type of affiliate. We have to know which programs they have, and does it fit in with the niche that we're going after, all of those types of questions. All right. Keyword research would come next in that project, okay? You can't do keyword research until you know what niche you're going to attack. That wouldn't make any sense to do it the other way around. So do the first step first, figure out where you're going to go, how you're going to monetize it, then do your keyword research. All right, so we've already covered keyword research. You can see that in the last video, but basically you want to find your base terms in the niche, through research. How are you going to do that? Well, I think if you go to your niche and maybe you type in, for our example, we're using plumber. You can just type in plumbing or plumber in whatever city you're in, and you're going to start seeing different things. And then you can go to Google AdWords and see what kind of search terms they throw back. So you can start getting your base search terms narrowed down that way. But you also want to identify, is there any traffic for those base search terms in any city? So let's say that you're in a smaller city and you don't know, because Google doesn't do a good job of reporting traffic, but you don't know if there's any search term or search volume for the keyword plumber. Well, if you go to Los Angeles and you type in plumber, or you go to Google AdWords and you put in Los Angeles as the geo target area for that, they will show you traffic. So basically you can start finding out, well, if there's traffic in Los Angeles for that, and I'm in a smaller city in California, there's a real good likelihood that there's going to be traffic in my city for that as well. All right. Now, I don't go into any kind of scientific calculations. Well, if a city is 1 million population and I have this much traffic, well, then if the city's half of that, I should get half of that traffic. I don't mess with all that. All I want to know is on my base terms, before I add any urgency, before I add any geotagging to it, is there traffic for that term? If there is, great. I'm good with it. All right. So the next thing, referring back to that keyword research video that I did, you're going to use the Revenue Wire Keyword Manager to add the geolocators, and you're going to add the urgency terms to your base search terms. All right. That'll help blow that out real quick. All right. Let's go to the next one. Website construction. All right, what does website construction have to do with this? We all know that we're going to have to build a website at some point in time if we're doing lead gen, correct? So I've put it in after keyword research. Okay, so I know what my terms are. Now I can go find a domain. All right. Now, are we going to use an exact match domain? Are we, we're going to buy it brand new? We're going to be able to find one that's expired, or maybe an expiring domain. And, if at all possible, we want to buy an expired or expiring domain because it will accelerate our ranking power and the time and effort it makes or takes to get our new site up and running, and past all of those other things that are ahead of us. Okay, so then we're going to find it, we're going to purchase it, then we're going to set up our hosting, however you want to do it. Again, this is a money site, so you don't necessarily want to put it, in the same cluster of places that your PBNs are at. You're going to install WordPress. You're going to put your basic plugins in there. I'm really liking WordFence and limit logins, okay? Because I get those emails saying somebody's tried to log in and it's locked out. Well, that means somebody's trying to find my crap. I don't want them getting into it. So I really like those things. Get those in. Place an under construction type of information on there, but make sure that you're set up for Google to know what your site's going to be about. So in our case, if the site's going to be about plumbing, let's make sure that the title of the site is plumbing, that the subtitle is about plumbing, and that the information we put on the page, even the construction type of information, is about plumbing. Say, hey, our plumbing website is going to be ready soon. So give them a head start in what it's about. Now you're set up for indexing and you can begin the ranking process. Next slide, content. All right, now we need to know where we're going to get our content from. And one of the things that I like to do, because when I'm doing my lead gen sites, I don't necessarily order content. What I do, and I'm not the best writer in the world, but what I do is I borrow. I go out to other searches, other cities for the same niche that I'm in. I look at what they're doing. I look at the content they have, how they structure it. Does it look like it's conversion-oriented language? And then I borrow it. I pick up pieces from here and there, and then I create my own content from that structure. For instance, one of the things that I know seems to work really well is when you give people a whole list of reasons that they need to look at in order to choose a contractor. And obviously those list of reasons should lead to the conclusion that you're the most logical choice, okay? But that's the type of content that we're looking for, or type of structure. So research what other people in your niche are doing, not necessarily locally, but in other locations. And also pay attention on that. Is there a language difference geographically? Or like, for one of my projects, I was doing really good in Miami. In South Florida, I was doing really good in Dallas-Fort Worth, and those two large, highly competitive metropolitan areas. And then I took the same language to Phoenix, and it was only 30% as effective as the others because there was a language difference. So you need to pay attention. If another example, for instance, is in Chicago for heating. If you're in Chicago, it's a different language than in Dallas for heating because the systems are different, the types of search terms that are going to be used. So you can't just necessarily, I hear this all the time, but I think it's wrong. You can't just make it work in one area and then you say, well, I can scale it out. Because you can't take that same project 100% of the time to every other city because there might be some language differences, and you need to be aware of those before you roll it out. All right, so now you can write the content, or you can order the content with some decent instructions so that you get back what you want. You can use iWriter, you can use Odesk. There's a ton of ways to get content. OMG covers that extremely well. Videos. I am a huge believer in video, in the power of video, not only on site, but as a placeholder to occupy space and knock competitors off the page. Okay, I'm a big believer in domination. So when we're doing lead generation, I don't want one single item on page one. It doesn't matter if it's number one or not. If I've got positions 2, 3, 4, and 5, I'm still going to get a phone call. All right, so video is a big player in that. So if you're going to do it yourself, I don't know what you're going to use, but products that I really like are ProShow Producer for slideshow. Camtasia is, I love Camtasia. We're using it now. And then Hangouts. Love, absolutely love Hangouts. I've been doing those for about a year. And there's all kinds of ways you can do that by yourself. You can interview an expert in the field. Say, hey, you can get somebody easily on a Hangout to answer frequently asked questions. So I need an expert to help me with these questions. Record the thing, and now you have content for yourself that you can use on your own project. And if you have no skills and you still want a video and you don't want to buy it, Animoto is your friend. It's relatively inexpensive, easy, super easy to use. A lot of people start off with Animoto when they're making videos for lead gen. The only caution about Animoto is they really don't like their videos used for any type of commercial aspect. So be careful of the TOS on that, and that's terms of service. All right. Now, of course, you can also go to Fiverr and order videos there. So, again, Odesk or Freelancer. There's a ton of places to get video. But just know that you're going to have to order videos, or you're going to have to start making them yourself for this project. Okay, photos. You're going to need photos, and there's lots of places to get photos. Some of my favorite places are Deposit Photos, and a brand new one, another OMGer brought to my attention, Pixabay. Pixabay is really good, and it's super free. There's only one caveat: they will deliver Shutterstock photos to you, so you have to know that when you see something that looks extraordinarily beautiful, yeah, that's going to be a Shutterstock, and if you click on it to get it, then you're going to have to buy it. You don't want to buy Shutterstock, I don't think, unless you have an account with Shutterstock, and you certainly might. But when we're talking about content, we're talking about photos, we don't just want photos. We want photos that tell a story. Again, the photos that we have on our website are going to tell a story. You know, it's like, okay, so are we saying that, for instance, you know, our air conditioning broke? Well, one of the things that I've liked to use in that kind of niche is a picture of a baby that looks extremely hot and is crying, okay? And the reason I like to use that is, you know, if you have kids, if you've had kids, and you know something happens like that and they're uncomfortable, well, they squawk and scream and cry, and there's nothing you can do, and that increases what? The urgency with which you need to fix this problem, which causes them to do what? Pick up the phone and call your client, you know, whatever. So I like to, you know, push that pain button with images that evoke that type of pain. Really like that. And then you turn it around, you know, you show your repairman photos, you show your happy family photos. All's good now, everybody's thumbs up and smiling. But you can use photos to help tell your story at the same time that your content is telling the story and your videos are telling the story. It all kind of works together. Not just on that single page, but across, you know, the whole spectrum of what you're doing. Now, one thing that I like to do with photos, and I rarely hear talked about, is that when you get your photo and you download it from Deposit Photos or Pixabay or wherever, obviously you're going to change the name of that to match your search term. Great. And we want to do all of these things before we upload it to WordPress. But the other thing you're going to do is you're going to go back into the details, and in the details you have the opportunity to take all the crap that Deposit Photos puts in there, which is not relevant to your project whatsoever. You go into the photo and you can put your own title in there, you can put your own subject, what this photo is about, you can put your own keywords in there. And you know, if you saw the search term video, you know that we're going to have lots of keywords, so we can put lots of keywords in that inside that photo, and then we can take all of the nonsense that Deposit Photos puts on there, you know, so you know, we can optimize our photos so that it helps Google understand what our page is about, what our site's about. All right, so I really encourage you to understand how to do that, and we'll talk about that as we go along in this series. All right, so then we're going to build some social properties. All right, and we do want to do this in advance of actually really trying to you know, rank our website. We're going to build a Google account. We need this, okay? It's going to provide us a lot of leverage, a lot of power. We need that G+ page, you know, we need the YouTube channel, we need the blogger, and you know, all of those things are going to help us rank later. We can repurpose content for blogger, we can put links in there. YouTube, obviously, we're going to get a do follow link from YouTube. Everybody says, well, you can't get a do follow link from YouTube. Well, actually you can. All right, but you do it in the channel, not on the video. Okay, so we're going to build our channel. We're going to make our channel look good. We're going to put our links in there to our website and our channel. You know, we're just going to make it look real. We're going to have a real person behind that G+ page, you know, a real fake person. You know, all of that's going to line up to help Google really like what we're doing. And then again, Twitter, you know, we're not really going to tweet that much, if at all, but we do want the power of having a Twitter account so that we can get that backlink as well later. And it just helps us to look more, you know, real. All right, then we're going to set up our call tracking. You know, it doesn't do us any good to have photos, videos, and everything else set up if we don't know what our phone number is or you know, what our call tracking device is going to be. So we have to understand call tracking. And if you're going to do pay-per-call lead generation, you cannot skip this step. If you're going to do lead generation for a client directly, you still can't skip this step. And the reason I say that is that in my experience, not only as an internet marketer, as a lead generation guy for the last 5 years, but in my prior life as a business owner, as an insurance agent, we wanted to track where our business was coming in from. We wanted to track why somebody would call us. Where did they find us? How did they find us? And what I found was, and what I have seen repeated over and over and over, is that the receptionist doesn't care as much as you. No matter how much you implore her to say, yes, track down everywhere it comes from. But when somebody says, well, I found you on the web, you're like, okay, but where on the web? It's like, they don't understand the difference between a website, a video, a blog post, email, whatever. I found you on the web. All right. That doesn't really tell us anything, does it? Except that they found us on the internet. Well, I guess that's better than finding us on the yellow pages. The second thing about having your own call tracking set up, even if you're sending leads directly to a client, is that clients will lie to you. They will flat out lie to you by saying, well, we're not getting any phone calls. We're not getting any business from this. This isn't working. And then you look at your calls data and you go, well, what the hell is he talking about? I see 15 phone calls just this week. It's like, what do you mean you're not getting any phone calls? And then you can do something that they don't expect. You say, well, here's a recording of all those phone calls. What do you think about that? Maybe we have a disconnect in how these calls are getting answered, because usually the business owner isn't the guy that's actually answering the phone. Somebody else is, and maybe he doesn't even know he has a problem. He's reporting to you what he knows, which he's not getting the calls, but that doesn't mean that the business isn't getting the calls. So call tracking is your friend. Now, where do you go? You can go to CallFire. I've never used them. I'll tell you that right now. I've never had to use them because I went big right away. But if you're putting your toes in the water and you don't want to spend a lot of money, CallFire's the where to go. You don't have to have any software, mess with anything. You just buy a number for them and they do the rest. Analytic call tracking, you hear a lot of people talking about that, and there's a reason for it. It was built by lead generation guys for lead generation guys. It works. It simply flat out works, and it's inexpensive. I will tell you this, I'm still on version 1.0 because it still works. I was like 4.5 years later, or whenever it came out. I have one of the first original copies that came out at like, $30-40, and it still works. Well, if it still works, why am I going to spend, $300-400 getting another system and, adding a monthly service charge on top of it? Now, there are reasons to do that. I just don't have those reasons yet. Joe Morfolio talked about Call Zoo, and it's something I'm looking at very hard as well. It looks like an incredibly good platform. All right, so the next thing you want to do, you have to get a phone number. All right, you're going to set up your call tracking. You're going to forward your number over temporary. What I like to do for that is very simple. I set up the call tracking and I have it come to me. That way I know when the phone rings, I get a recording, I can see, all right, this program is starting to work. Let's send it somewhere else. Let's make some money with it. The most important things to remember in my mind about this are make sure that you have a local number. And if you're in an area that has multiple numbers, like for instance South Florida, and you're doing all of South Florida, and they have 3 different counties there, and they have 3 different phone exchanges for those counties, you want to have projects that have those 3 numbers. Yeah, it's a little more expensive. Okay, with Twilio, it's a whole $1 more a month, but it makes it look more local the more local the number is. I have a client, he's like, well, I want an 800 number on there. I said, well, where's your business come from? Well, within, 20-mile circle. Well, why do you want an 800 number? Because it looks better? No, it doesn't. No, and not only does it not look better, it looks like you're not even local. So use a local number. It actually converts better. All right, you definitely want to have recording ability, and we've talked about that already. And you want to have the ability to run reports so that you can gather all that data up and send it over to your client. Moving on. All right, now it's time to build out the website. We've got all these things ready. We have our phone number, we have our content, we have our videos, we have our photos. Everything's ready to go. Install your plugins that you need, and we're going to talk about some special plugins for local lead generation that I don't think OMG has talked about. We're going to install our theme. We don't have to get too crazy about this because this is a case where ugly works. We do not have to be pretty. We do not have to be anything but effective. All right. So I know I have some sites up that are still running like 2012 theme. Some of them are 2013. Some of them are running an old copy of Mystique. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. All right. So pick a theme that you're comfortable with, one that you can work with. And remember, this is not your $10,000. I'm going to put this in my portfolio because it's so beautiful site. No. This is not that. This is fast. This is effective. Let's get it up. Let's get it running. Let's get it making some money. All right. Place your content. Put your articles in. However you're going to do that. Your videos, your photos, and make sure that those things are placed so that they're giving you the biggest bang for the buck. Must-haves. You must have your phone number highly visible on your website. Now, for me, this is one of my biggest pet peeves on local businesses. You talk about, I had a client that they were a restaurant. They were a downtown Atlanta restaurant. They spent, I think it was like $20,000 on a brand new website. They were so proud of it. It was pretty, but you land on their website and it doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't tell you where they are, doesn't tell you when they're open, doesn't tell you how to contact them. It's like, guys, you're kind of missing the point. I mean, what is the website for? So yeah, I wasn't with them very long because they didn't like what I had to say. Produced great results for them, but they did not like what I had to say because I wasn't designing their website. And yeah, hey, whatever. You're still struggling and I'm not. So put the phone number in the header. Make it highly visible. Make it big, bold. The eye should automatically trail to wherever that phone number is on that page. Okay? Put the phone number in the content. Put the phone number in the sidebar. You want that phone number to be found so easily by that contact or that prospect that they have no issues about finding the number to call you. A lot of times that's the only reason they went to the website in the first place is to find the phone number. So let's make it super brain dead simple for them to find it and use it. Now, you also need to have an about page, a contact us, privacy. I also like to have a service area and hours. These things just make the page look more legitimate instead of just a hastily thrown together lead gen page. All right, so now we're ready to do what everybody came to OMG to do, and that's SEO. We're ready to initiate our ranking program. Now we're going to do it a little bit different because we're looking at lead gen, we're looking at local, and typically you're not going to need 1,000 links to rank your website locally, especially in the niches that we're going after. So first off, we're going to use videos because videos are very, very powerful and they're coming from very high domain authority sites, YouTube and Vimeo. I love them both. And not only do they help rank our website, but they will indeed rank themselves. So we can have our web page, we can have a YouTube video, we can have a Vimeo video. Now we have 3 things on page 1. What's better? 1 thing on page 1 or 3 things on page 1? Yeah, I think three things are. So now let's go to classified ads. Why do we want classified ads, and what's their purpose? Well, the classified ad is also typically a higher domain authority site, and we're going to borrow their domain authority to help boost our site. Not only that, these things get indexed and scraped about every 15 minutes, maybe sometimes every 10 minutes. I think Backpage is every 10 minutes. So these guys get, super fast indexing, and they throw off a ton of power to your website. Now, the other thing that we can do with classified ads, and it's like, okay, well, great. Are we using these for lead gen? No, we're not using these for lead gen. We're strictly using these for rankings. We're going to create an HTML page. We're going to put it inside the classified ad, and that HTML page is going to go back as a link to our site. But we're going to optimize that classified ad in such a way that it has a highest chance of ranking on page one as well. And so when we do that, now we have a high, now we're looking at not one, not two, not three, but 4 or 5 things on page one because of those items. And just so you know, Locanto is like a nationwide classified ad. Backpage, I'm sure everybody's heard of that. Thrifty Nickel. There used to be the paper thing outside the 7-Eleven or whatever, and now they're online. The same exact concept, classifiedads.com. And you'll have to check. In some cities, they rank differently. Like Locanto will rank higher in one city. Backpage will rank higher in another city. Thrifty Nickel might be a favorite. So you have to check and see which ones are the most effective. And then there's local ad sites that you never heard of. You go into an area that you've never been in. You don't live there. You don't know what's going on. Just check around to see if any local ad sites start showing up. Do a classified ad search for a certain city and see what comes up first. That probably means in that area, Google prefers that site over another. Or maybe the locals prefer that site over another. And so that helps you find the local ad site. And if you do it right, you might even get calls from your classified ads. I don't know. I never tracked that because I really wasn't concerned about that. I was concerned about, getting page control and dominating the page. All right, so now we're going to go to social bookmarking. I believe that before you put in a PBN, you should do some social bookmarking, get people, make it think people are talking about your site. It's a new site, things are happening. I like FCS Networker for this, and the reason I like FCS Networker is because I do lots of projects. Well, if you're just starting out, hey, Fiverr would be enough for you. Go out and get, a social bookmarking program from Fiverr. I have like 2,000 accounts or so with social bookmarking, and that's what I use. All right, so Web 2.0, we definitely want some of those built out, and the Tumblrs of the world, the WordPress.orgs, things of that nature. We want to get some of those things out because we're going to not to step on Jimmy Kelly's toes, but we're going to borrow some of that domain authority, and we're going to stack it up on our website, to help it rank, and to give Google the idea that there's lots of things out there talking about us. And then finally, we're going to start putting our PBNs in play. All right, start getting those to help rank our sites. And we probably, with all these other things, we probably won't need very much of those. All right, last, we're going to monitor our progress, okay? There's 3 ways to do that. We have rankings and that we can use. That's pretty easy. I'll show you what I use. I know other people use, like ProRank Tracker and things like that. And all of those tools are great except for one thing. If we're tracking videos, some of them don't track videos. If we're tracking, hundreds of search terms, some of them get pretty expensive when you do that. So I have found a solution that is working, very well. It's about 95% accurate, and I'll show you what that is and, and how I work that. But, as far as traffic goes, we can put in Google Analytics, we can put in other things, but traffic in and of itself is not that important for me, and I'll tell you why. When we get back to that story of the guy whose air conditioner went out. It's 108 degrees, baby's crying, you know, maybe he's not at his computer, whatever, he's on a phone. What I found is that people aren't searching and looking at websites and videos and watching the videos to see, you know, who they're going to call. What they're doing is they're actually calling from from the search results. And how I knew that and how I got clued into that was I'm looking at my calls and I'm getting all these calls, and then I go over to traffic and I say, well, how come nobody's visiting the website? How come nobody's visiting, you know, watching any of these videos? And so one of the biggest aha moments I ever had was it doesn't matter about traffic because they're calling from the search results. If you can dominate the search results, nothing else matters. Boom, they're going to call you straight from that. And again, we're talking about the pay-per-call, built-in urgency type services. All right. So then last, we're going to monitor our phone calls. We're going to see what type of calls they're coming in, when they're coming in, and if we need to tweak anything. All right. So that's pretty much the order of how we're going to do things. And we're going to follow this up with the next video talking about we've decided on a project, we've done our keyword research, so we're going to start building out the website. Okay, so if you have any questions, address them to me, Mike Long. I'll be on Facebook and look forward to talking to you.